launched a program to get developer boards out to open source developers and also people in academia. So you can go to the RISC-V website, and we have a link to a form there that people can fill out. And the way this is working, as vendors have boards come available based on what people fill out in that form, they'll get paired with the right board. And we had the first round of boards go out recently. So for the people whose need was 1 GB of RAM, those people got the all-winner D1 NESA board. And those were shipped out recently. So I think most people have gotten those. So I'm not sure the exact number, but I think we had about maybe like 100 people that got boards. So that's pretty cool. So we'll have hopefully more people helping out with that board. And as more vendors have boards ready, more will follow there. So the kind of the key thing is to direct people to that form, and then they can fill out that form. And we have a process to try and match them with the right dev board. The other thing, if you wanted to know more about that, I think actually on a few slides from now I have a link to it, because it is up on the tech calendar. There's a bi-weekly meeting, dev boards meeting, that's on in America it's on Thursday mornings now, so I guess it would be in the evening on Friday for, let's see here, the tech groups calendar. So for the tech groups, oh yes, so the dev boards meeting, it's on, well, this is for America time, but here on the west coast of the US it's at 7 a.m. So I guess that would be what, I'm getting confused now, but it's in the morning here in the US, so I don't know, would that be kind of late in the evening of Friday? I'm not sure, but if you check out the tech calendar, you'll be able to see it there. So for those that are interested in what's going on with RISC-V dev boards, this is bi-weekly. So I guess the next one will be on the 23rd. So that's a good way to get involved. And if you want to email me, I can also connect you with, or I can just paste the email address in here. The person that handles a lot of this is Jeff. I don't know, I don't have his information in my history, but Jeff Schnell, I think it is the person that handles that. But you could also just email me, drew@pdp7.com, and I can connect you with Jeff if you're interested in what's going on in the boards and you want to get involved. So yeah, I think one of the main things here that I wanted everyone to know about is, and Stefano just joined and he's been helping to try and improve this, is that a good way to find a lot of the different links regarding RISC-V international things is through the landing page on the wiki. So let's take a look at that. So, because I know things change a lot and I'm always sometimes trying to scramble and find out where things are. So this is a good one-stop shop for those sorts of things. So if you're in doubt, usually it's somewhere on here. And in the case of the technical meetings calendar, you can get to it from there, which is what I keep an eye on, because there's all sorts of meetings. The ones I usually try and attend are the in here is called the Platform HSC biweekly meeting. So this is the upcoming RISC-V platform certification. So the HSC is Horizontal Steering Committee. So this is the group that's working on the platform spec. So that's the spec that will cover both full operating systems like Linux, and that's called OS-A. And then there's also the spec for microcontroller. So if you're interested in that, that happens every other Monday. Where actually I should probably figure out what that would be for Asia, since this meeting is mainly focused on Asia. But in the US, this happens on Monday mornings. And then the other one that I try and attend is, let's see here, I don't see it here, is CMO, which is the cache maintenance operations, which that's not been I guess that happens. Sometimes they cancel it, but I guess there's the next one coming up on the 27th, I think, on Monday. So I've been interested in that because with some of the RISC-V SoCs that have been in the works that are capable of running Linux, definitely need some capabilities around how to handle cache maintenance. And this working group is working on extension for some instructions, which you know, when we discussed this in the first open hours, I got the impression that hopefully going into the RISC-V summit at the end of the year, that this might be ready. I don't know if anyone else has any better insight into that, but I get the sense that the cache maintenance operation instructions are nearing completion. And so I don't know if anyone has anything they want to add about that, but that's one of the meetings that I try and attend because it's seems quite relevant to like operating systems like Linux that want to run on these SoCs that don't have cache coherent interconnects. So that's one of the ones I pay attention to. Similarly, the virtual memory meeting, I started attending that because that one is talking a lot about this extension called page-based memory types, or PBMT, because that is a way for us to be able to describe that what a region of memory is going to be used for, such as like for non-coherent IO memory. So that's another one that kind of relates to how we can handle running Linux on some of these SoCs without coherent interconnects, like the Allwinner D1. So that's another meeting that I try to attend. But are there other ones that other people on the call try and attend? I know there's a lot of different RISC-V ones. I don't normally get to them all, but are there other ones that people want to like mention or say, hey, this one's cool, you should try and check it out? Okay. Well, let's see, let's flip back over here. So there's some of the things you can find on the wiki landing page, like the tech charts, which was a helpful thing to kind of understand the structure of the different people in RISC-V International. So because I know things change and somehow it gets confusing, so this is a good way to understand kind of the structure of things. And you know, typically we have like this technical all hands for RISC-V International. I don't know, maybe like once a quarter, but I think it's been a while. And usually Mark, the CTO, will try and go over things like this, which is kind of helpful to kind of understand the structure for what's going on in terms of how things are organized. You know, recently there was kind of a rehauling of what a technical working group is versus like a standing committee versus a SIG. So like some of those presentations go into that. There's also like status on things like the ISA extensions that are being worked on and where they're at. So kind of useful stuff that I look at a lot. And oh yes, here's Jeff's name. So I'm going to put this into the chat. So Jeff handles the developer boards program. So if you're interested in that, you can email Jeff at risc-v.org. Jeff's also one of the people, along with Stefano, that tries to keep the content here on the wiki up to date. So actually this looks like it should be pretty up to date. There's another spreadsheet that sometimes I look at. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so just go to the previous page, what you're showing. Yeah.
What's that? Sorry.
Yeah, just go back to the status page.
Back one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you see, compared to previous open hours we had like 2 weeks back, or I don't know. So the status of a lot of this extension has changed, and pretty soon like RISC-V has also been complete. Voting is also complete, so they will go any day on public review. So we will have a lot of extensions in public review in next 1 or 2 weeks.
Awesome. Is this a good one to look at, or and maybe this is not the best
Yeah,
page?
this is the same one which one we look at. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Great. Oh, awesome. And yeah, are you based in India currently? Is that where
I'm in
okay.
India. Yeah.
So earlier at the beginning, I'm not sure if you're on yet, but I was asking if this was a good time or not for India, because I think it's quite early still, right?
I think this is okay. It's like 7 a.m. So
okay. Because I was
yeah.
suggesting that I think I mean, maybe for the East Coast of the U.S., maybe not so much, but for at least for me here on the West Coast, like it wouldn't be a problem to move it like an hour or two later, so that you know, it was a little bit more convenient. But yeah, I mean, if that's not a problem, then that's fine too. I might send out an email to the Google group to see what people think, because since we're alternating the time zones for the meetings, then like essentially like the next one that would be for like the Asia time zone would be maybe around October 15th. So if people would prefer like something slightly adjusted, then we can see. But that's thankful. Thank you. That's good to know. So and I'm glad to have you on here, since you also have your pulse on a lot of things that are happening. And you also are involved with the AIA as well, which we were looking at the calendar a moment ago. So I should have mentioned that. That's another one that I try and attend because it's quite relevant to full operating systems like Linux, which I'm not seeing it on here. Which day is it? Advanced
second Thursday of every month. Yeah.
Okay, here it is. Yes. All right. So this is another one that you know, if you're interested in what's happening kind of at a system level or what might affect operating systems like Linux, this is a quite interesting one. And like the work you're doing looks like it's progressing pretty well, I think, right?
Yeah. So I think even AI is another candidate which will go in freeze. But the problem is there are a lot of extension in pipeline. So the first batch involves all the ISA extensions. So that's what are voted and RISC-V has happened. So after this, like the next in line would be AIA, ACLINT, and all the specs. So the goal is to even finish them before a year and before summit. So just because all these are also dependencies for all the platform specs and so.
Yeah. What's the you know, I'm curious, what's the best like landing page for to direct people? Would it be like the mailing list, or what would be the best place to send people to?
So for AI, it's the mailing list, and
okay.
yeah, and you can always create GitHub issues on the repos.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if anyone on our meeting has any questions about this, but you know, it's I guess it's something new that happened this year, right? I think, right? Or did it start this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it started like early this year, around December last year. The SIG was formed. We started full functionality or our activities by February, and since February we have been doing a lot of work on that. So it's almost now almost 8 months kind of thing.
Yeah, let me drop this in here if anyone wants to see, because yeah, so the meeting was just last week. So like these are the slides from it, and I think, you know, if people haven't seen this before, there's definitely some new terminology. There's an A in front of a lot of terms that might be familiar to people, right? That's an improvement over what was existing. So in fact, maybe I can pull up here that nice chart that has how the different things relate to each other.
Yeah, it's there.
Yeah, here we go.
Not that.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah,
right?
this one.
Yeah. So this yeah. So I don't know if people, this might be, as actually lets me just ask, like, has anyone seen this before? Is anyone familiar with the AIA and the ACLINT? Have you seen this before or interested in this?
Yeah, I've seen this before.
Okay.
Yeah, but not that into details that yet.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, interested. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean the I think you record, or the AIA meetings recorded as well, Anup, or?
Yeah, so I mean recording only started recently for those meetings, so not all
Okay.
meetings are. But slides are
Okay.
always there. And rest of, a lot of
Yeah.
conversation happen on mailing list as well. So.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess for people just seeing this for the first time, I guess the general idea here was to like modernize, right? The like kind of the way interrupts are handled, while also not breaking the backwards compatibility, right? What I think was an important thing. Is that correct?
Come again, last, what did you say last?
Oh, I mean, my understanding was one of the things was be able to like work, not break what exists currently, but to be able to like.
So at least AI does not do that, but AI
Okay.
has a provision that you can also have Plick coexist with the AI interrupt controllers. That's just additional hardware the platforms will do in order to support backward compatibility, but that's not mandatory, at least with AI. But ACLint is definitely backward compatible. So
Okay,
no issue.
yeah. Sorry, that I think sometimes I conflate the two, but I mean they are separate things, right? So with the ACLint, you were making it backwards compatible with the client. So for like so like what Pcie currently has in their SoCs, you'd be able to use the ACLint with then. Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah. So the Sci-Fi client is implemented by Sci-Fi, of course, but then a lot of implementations, Fpgas as well as other SoCs, they have implemented that spec in their own way as well. So basically, all the existing platforms are by default compatible with ACLint. Just that the additional features what ACLint provides, they need to do in the next platform, whatever they make.
Okay. And I think on one of these slides, you have a good list of like where the implementations are. Maybe was this it or?
yeah. Just a slide after that.
Go slide after this. Okay. Or the down here. Okay. Yeah. So I guess if people are interested in this, they can actually go grab like these branches, right, and start trying it out, right? Or kind of check out what you've done.
And the slide after that actually shows how you tell QEMU to give you different configurations.
Yes, and you did a demo of this in the meeting last time, which was quite interesting to see it live. So I guess maybe one of the headlines here is that there's now like an official way to do MSIs, which I guess that would be considered a new thing for RISC-V. Is that right?
Yes. Okay. Yes. It's not there in any of the systems right now, at least. So.
Okay.
And virtual MSIs, if people go with that.
Is anyone yet working with PCI Express on a RISC-V system?
Yeah, the Sci-Fi boards do MSI.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Maybe that is a good opportunity for me to pull up. I mean, well, definitely if anyone has questions about the AI or the ACLint, like we have Anoop on, so I'm sure he has a lot of knowledge he could share if anyone has questions about that.
Yeah, and we also have a session planned in the upcoming LPC in a week. So
yes, yeah.
For AI, so I'll be talking about open items and where we are heading with AI and those things.
Yeah, let me pull that up here. So for those that aren't aware, Linux Plumbers Conference is kind of a lot of it's focused on kernel, but also kind of other low-level things and tooling things, like the plumbing, so to speak. And that's coming up next week. It's virtual. I think it's a great conference, and I think it's pretty inexpensive to register, maybe like $50 or something like that.
Yeah, the virtual ones are super easy to register for.
Yeah, so and the cool, so it's just $50. You can still register if anyone's interested. And then the exciting thing, well, amongst other things, is that there's a RISC-V micro conference on the Tuesday. So, and I believe these times are in US Pacific, maybe. So I think, let me check. So yeah, Pacific time zone. So maybe a bit late for Asia, especially towards the latter part of it. But yeah, this will be for basically 4 hours, and Palmer and Anoop and several other core RISC-V people have been planning this. Let me see if I can pull up I know one of these pages has the description of it, all right, which kind of goes over some of the different topics.
Yeah, schedule is there. I think, Parva, do you have a link you can share? Yeah, schedule is there.
Let's see here.
Yeah,
I think it's under this
might be faster if Drew clicks on it.
Yeah.
If not, there it is.
Let's see here. Okay. Oh, nice. Everything's in there. So, oh, very, very exciting. So we've got the platform specification, and then next generation interrupt support, ACPI. Who's doing that one? Let's see. I'm curious. Do you know who's doing the ACPI one?
So ACPI is being done by the Ventana folks. They'll be discussing, and they are actively doing that. They are doing a lot of development. They have not sent out any patches as such, and it will take some time because the ACPI spec is also maintained external to the RISC-V community, right? So yeah, they are doing that. So
okay, and then I'm guessing Gao Ren will be involved probably with the D1 talk or the session about D1. Okay.
Yeah, that I mean, Palmer knows more. Yeah, so all the pending or the open items for D1, so they're mostly that topics.
I see actually Samuel Holland is on our meeting, and he's been doing also a lot of work with the D1. So I don't know if you have the ability to do voice, Samuel, but yeah, I think it would be hopefully, if you're not planning to attend Plumbers, hopefully you would be able to and get into the session, because I think that would be a good opportunity. I did Fue join? Fue, are you on the
Yes,
meeting?
I'm on
Okay.
the call. Can you hear me?
So yes, I can hear you. Yeah, so I guess 9 a.m. in California is, I mean, it's a little late for you, but yeah.
Yes, I got Gordon already invited me to join this session, so I will be there. I will be answer the question there. I work using the upstream kernel to deploy using latest patch set from Goran, and we are planning to use D1 to test all the patch set will be upstream. So that will be a very good session, I think. Yes.
Yeah. Did you want to like say a little bit about what's going on with the D1? Yeah, since that's the one board that RISC-V International is sending out to developers right now.
Yeah. Actually, a lot of work done by Samuel. Actually, I just use his patch set, and I just add some configuration to U-boot, and we can boot upstream kernel upstream using his patch. And for now, we are using latest OpenSPI, latest U-boot, and Grab to boot Linux. To boot upstream kernel to Fedora right now. So we are sorting out all the patch set, preparing for this session.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, we also have a wiki page in Fedora to introduce how to deploy Fedora on D1 on SD card. So welcome to you know, if I make any mistake, if you wanted to verify that, just look at the page, and just if you wanted to try, and welcome to correct me if I do anything wrong here.
Yeah, and how do I get to the, because you made a really nice Fedora page as well,
I put a link
right?
to the Fedora page in the chat.
Okay. Oh, awesome. Oh, hello, Samuel. Good to meet
hello.
you. Yeah, so you've been doing a lot of awesome work, well, on many Sunzi things, but especially the D1 board.
Yeah, I did
to meet you.
some of the Linux patches earlier this summer, and then I've been trying to get a few of the drivers upstream. It turns out most of the peripherals are the same as the R329, which is a previous ARM SoC. So I'm trying to deal with getting all the device tree bindings and all the peripheral drivers sort of one by one.
Yeah, I noticed there was a bit of a discussion about like what things should be called. Like since it was like an IP block that kind of exists on a couple different chips. I saw there was like a thread recently about that. Is that right?
I don't know. If it's the first time it's happened, or if I'm not aware. But you know, there's the Sunzi family, right? It has all sorts of all the IP blocks are the same IP blocks that are in the D1. So you have this SoC family that has two totally different CPU architectures,
right?
But the same exact peripherals.
Yeah, that happens most of the time. People transition ISAs. it's always a headache because nothing ever works.
Right, and it seems like some of the design, people started from scratch. They did what sounded, seemed like the best design at the time, and then you got to try to make it compatible with the existing design from the other architecture.
Right. Yeah. And my understanding from Gauren had joined the virtual memory meeting, actually probably a couple months ago now, but I think my understanding was one of the reasons why we have kind of the issues around coherency is like this SoC basically just had the RISC-V core plopped in there or inserted in there, and like there was some expectations in the ARM world around how things would work in with RISC-V. I guess maybe we don't have the same level of sophistication when it comes to handling those sort of interconnects. So like the sense I got was like there's a bit of a impedance mismatch there between like what might work when you have an ARM core in the SoC versus a RISC-V core. I don't know, that was at least kind of the impression I had gotten. But I guess what we're saying here is if people want to find out more, Plumbers would be the place to do that. So yeah, so it looks like we'll have everyone involved then on what is this, Tuesday morning here in the US, which would be what is that, Wednesday? I get so confused. Is that Wednesday evening, or I'm confused? No, it's Wednesday morning. I don't know. Pcie, can you help me? I'm getting confused about time zones.
In the evening. Yes.
In the evening. Okay. All right. Kind of late in the evening. Yes, because what often happens, like I wake up and I'm talking to you. Yeah.
Evening. Yes.
Okay. Yes. So this is when it's like, I'm like, whoa, it's 11 a.m. here in California, on the West Coast. It must be very late for you right now. So yeah, that often happens. Cool. So Sam, were you going to be a part of Plumbers?
I think I'll actually be on a plane at that point, at that specific time, but I'll try to be there if I can.
Okay. Okay, cool. Oh, that on the Fedora page, actually, that's why I pulled it up here, is Pcie, you had some nice charts here, or diagrams, I should say, which I thought was quite nice, because it definitely, after reading like the mailing list and stuff, this definitely helped me understand it a bit better as to what's going on. So I guess other people that are interested, definitely check out this page because I think it makes it a little bit easier to understand. And I think, Samuel, you had just posted maybe today about that this will maybe get a little less awkward once we're running U-boot SPL mainline. Is that right?
Yeah, that's the goal, is to be using all the upstream software projects. Okay. So the limiting factor right now is that the DRAM init code is pre-compiled, so it's just an assembly file. So it was easier to get the BSP Budo working than trying to extract that and get it working in U-boot, because it also uses some of the custom ISA extensions in the DRAM init code. Okay. And so they have the custom instructions around cache operations. Is that what it's using? No, it's actually they have some extra load store bit manipulation instructions that they added. Oh, okay. Okay. Which I'm not sure how, of course, I don't think they've released. Well, I think there's an LLVM port that has some of those instructions in it, but there's not any like upstream toolchain support for those. Okay. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know if there's, what's the best place to look at the D1? Maybe was it the Sunzi wiki page? Like I see a lot of mailing list threads, but I don't.
Recently at some point.
What's that?
There's a link in this wiki page. It's just going up a little bit.
Oh,
there's
sorry.
A link. Yep. I collect all the information in this page. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I switched too soon. Oh, so you've already got all the links in here. So what's the? Okay.
A little bit up.
Yeah. Right here.
All the information. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Info, SOC info, everything there.
Okay. Yeah. There is one thing that's not there yet. They actually posted or published a English version of the ISA instruction set extension.
Okay. So was that that's really more about the C906, right?
Right.
That would be what,
That was
what
from
these are.
T-Head.
Okay. Okay, from T-Head. Okay, great. Well, I guess we'll be finding out a lot more. Geez, is Plumbers next week? Oh my goodness. Oh man, September's going by fast. Okay, so this is next Tuesday that we're talking about. My goodness. The month is going by fast. Okay, so I think it's the
Yeah, and the
25th.
presenter trainings are tomorrow, which they just
Okay.
emailed about today. So you
Okay,
should go to those.
so next Tuesday is when this is happening. And then I think, Jim, you had linked in that there is also a BOF. Let me just click on this link again. So this is on the next day then, Wednesday. So what was the, how is this one? How's this different than the mini conference or micro conference?
This is a BOF.
Okay, so just
so this is at the GNU Tools Cauldron has been co-located with, well, I don't know if it's officially been co-located or it's another micro conference or what. There was talk about that, but so this is like BOFs are much less formal, right? Micro conferences have a schedule and all that fun stuff, whereas BOFs are kind of just, we're there to talk. This is in theory more, GNU Tools focused because it's at the GNU Tools micro conference or Cauldron. I'm not quite sure, but we kind of mix them up.
Right. When I first started going to Linux conferences, I was very confused, and then I learned that BOF was birds of a feather, which is I guess the saying is like birds of a feather stick together, right? So it's essentially like a discussion session, right? Kind of similar to this. I mean, this is kind of a BOF to some degree, but so this one's focused would be more on toolchain, RISC-V toolchain things. Then, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, it's at the tools track.
Okay.
So it's kind of a gray area. It's the first time we've done this. I don't remember if there was a tools track last year, but it's still kind of new. So not quite sure what the rules are in terms of like what the topic areas are for each of them. But, RISC-V is a pretty small community and a lot of the people go to both. So we're kind of just mixing them up. It's really an interaction modality thing. Like BOFs are very much just a discussion amongst folks, whereas the micro conference is a little more structured. There's it's longer, there are leads for each section. It's still very discussion oriented because it's plumbers, it's not like presentations or whatever, but it's a little more structured.
I think Keto has a list of topics he wants to discuss.
Perfect, because someone just asked for one. So Keto, I don't know if you're in here, but I'll let you respond to that one.
Yeah, I guess for people that haven't attended Plumbers before, I like it a lot because it's much different than a normal conference. So like, well, you see that there's presentations in the micro conference. They're meant to be really interactive, right? Like ideally
they're
the presenter,
specifically not presentations.
Yeah,
the guidance is that you'll get yelled at if you have more than 2 or 3 slides. We're there to have a discussion.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So I think it's quite interesting because it's almost kind of like a mailing list discussion, like synchronously. Well, it used to be with people in the same room, but even over online, it's kind of interesting because we don't have all the gaps that normally exist, like on a mailing list. So it's quite interesting. I've learned a lot by attending Plumbers over the years, and sometimes just randomly going into different rooms and listening to the discussions. So I highly recommend it. Yeah. Anything else we should say about Plumbers or?
Just a question. You need to be registered for both the micro conferences and the BOFs, right?
Yeah. It's there's just one registration. Yeah. There's just one registration, and then you get into the system. And what Plumbers uses is actually really, I think, really nice. It's a Big Blue Button, which is open source software. And yeah, then you get logged into that system when you're registered. So basically you pay the $50 and then you get into the system, and then all the content's in there. But in my opinion, it works much better than what we have in the Linux Foundation conferences. The Big Blue Button, I think, works quite well. I enjoyed it a lot last year.
Nice. I never attended a Plumbers, so I'm thinking about registering to that.
And also, like, for people that don't register, usually all the videos go up on YouTube. When it's in person, sometimes it can be a little slow, but I think last year, like it might have actually been on YouTube immediately. I'm trying to remember, but if
I
not, there
think
was.
they try to live stream it even when
Okay.
it's in person, but it doesn't always
Nice.
work.
Okay, okay, because yeah, I think so. I think actually it's actually on YouTube Live. So in fact, I guess if you just want to listen to the session, you probably don't actually need to register. But if you want to like interact, then you would need to
Oh, awesome.
register.
Awesome.
Because I do
I'm gonna keep an eye.
recall like it's like a busy 4 days, and I recall like walking around last year and I had like YouTube streaming on my phone. So yeah, it did work pretty well last year, which was nice.
Nice. Nice. They usually publish the links on the page, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
At
and
the day
Plumbers,
after.
yeah, it'll be on YouTube. I mean, and also I usually go kind of crazy posting all the links. So and also Plumbers has like a Twitter account too. So
Cool.
it should be pretty easy to find.
Awesome. Gonna keep an eye on it. Yeah, nice.
Man, I didn't realize this next week. I need to make sure I clear my calendar for Plumbers.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting, at least here in North America, we then have the Open Source Summit / Embedded Linux Conference coming up the last week of the month. So essentially we have Plumbers next week, and then the week after that is the Embedded Linux Conference. So I guess we're in conference season now.
Yeah, end of year is usually packed with conferences. Yeah.
Yeah, and the I mean, I can pull it up here because there will be some like RISC-V talks as well at the Embedded Linux Conference. And it's similar situation where I think it's maybe $50 to attend. So it is in person. So we actually, some of us will actually be in Seattle, I think, as long as nothing terrible happens like in the next couple of weeks. But it's also going to be virtual. So I'm not sure exactly how it's going to work, but the idea is that you can attend remotely and interact with people and watch all the talks. And actually, some of the speakers will not be there. So there's definitely speakers I know from Europe that won't be coming. So it will be kind of a hybrid event. And if you look at the schedule, I think I saw there's like maybe 4 or 5 different RISC-V talks on there. So there's definitely some interesting stuff. I mean, I think if you had to choose, I think Plumbers is maybe I would advise it more strongly because it's a great opportunity to like discuss things and get a better understanding of like the current issues. But there's definitely several like RISC-V things on here. Oh, and Anoop, you have a talk about Perf on RISC-V.
Yeah, that's Atish's talk. I'm just a co-presenter there.
Okay, all right. So was this recorded then?
Yeah, I think all these are recorded and uploaded on YouTube also.
Okay. Yeah, so I think since things are half virtual now, I think there should not be too much latency, right, to get things up on YouTube as well. So hopefully for those of you that aren't attending, or even when you're there, you never get to see everything. Hopefully it should be pretty quick to be able to see the videos. I guess that's one of the nice things about virtual is like everyone's gotten much better about getting the videos up onto YouTube. Because sometimes in past years it would take kind of several months to get things up. So Perf, this is like the performance measurement units, the PMUs, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's mainly about the SBI PMU extension, and there is another small fast track extension from the ISA perspective, which is for filtering and overflow of counters. Yeah. So combined using these two, you can have a full solution for Perf. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So is this related to like, you know, Perf, like the command we use for all the fancy stats and stuff? Okay.
Yes, so that's what it brings. Yes.
Okay. And does this also, I mean, I know with like x86 systems, for example, like people do all sorts of fancy like Perf and Bpf sort of stuff. Would you be able to do those sorts of things on RISC-V now?
Yeah, so Perf Bpf is a different path. It does not do with any hard code actually. Yeah, that will be mostly some kconfig option. So.
Okay, but we do. So I guess we have Perf, like we have the statistics now, I guess, through this SPI extension.
Yes. So we'll have two types of events. Like one is the hardware events, what the platform supports underlying, or the hypervisor supports, and then you will also have a firmware events, which is like OpenSBI will expose some of the software stats through the same interface And then hypervisor can also expose some of the software stats through the same SBI interface. And then the driver does not change. Yeah.
Do Perf or BPF require something in the SoC or in the core, or it's all in the kernel and the software firmware and etc.?
Yeah. So the BPF related events are totally in software, as far as I know. There is no. This is only about the CPU events and the firmware events.
It doesn't require like an extension of the core or RV64 or whatever. Nice.
You need hardware
Nice.
for it, right? But there's like a hole carved out in the ISA for the actual instructions. So it's a matter of getting like the whole, like what those, basically there's a hole carved out for doing custom stuff and there's no way to do standard stuff. So it's kind of a bit of a mess. So we don't really do it right now, but you definitely need.
So the SBI is there, so it kind of abstracts away the way people might implement this or vendors might implement this. Is that right? So that
the problem is that the configuration part of this counter is restricted to M mode only. So as S mode, Linux need to take help from M mode because the S mode does not have dedicated CSRs to program these counters. And the other part is the overflow and filtering of the events. Okay. So that part is added as a separate fast track ISA extension. So that will have some CSR which are directly accessible to the S mode. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Very
so just
interesting.
SBI PMO will not give you filtering and perf record functionality, I would say. Okay, you can just do perf top and simple basic perf command with just SBI PMO. But you need the overflow interrupts to do the more fancy things like recording and analyzing things. Yeah.
Okay, so this is an ISA extension. Does that mean that existing hardware could like trap and emulate that? Or
no, this unfortunately this functionality can't be in a trap and emulate because this deals with like generating interrupts when the event overflows. Yeah. So.
But some hardware does have custom events, right? So one can imagine making something happen. It's probably not worth it.
Yeah.
So do you anticipate this being something we can utilize? Like it'll take a new generation of chips to come out then for this to be something.
No, so with SBI PMO in place, you can at least have a working perf, but the perf record will only work correctly if you have this extension ISA extension S of PMF. Yeah. And by the way, this is also being rectified. I mean, it's already ARC review is done and it's also voted out. So it's just a matter of the days, like it will be in public review as well.
So would this only be something that exists in like FPGAs right now then?
I think there is no implementation right now for, but then there are companies who are doing implementations of this right now. And those are the ones who are actually pushing this thing. So.
Okay. So, but for this work, you're able to, looks like you can show it off in QEMU because it can like emulate it?
So Atish has already sent out patches on QEMU for both. I mean, so SBI PM the patches are already to some level merged in OpenSBI, but then the PMU side of the story is there. The patches are out in QEMU as well. They are under review right now. So.
Okay.
The only problem with QEMU is that we might not have so many hardware events, which typically a hardware would provide. Right?
Okay. And then if we combine all this together, I mean, we do have the ePPF JIT on RISC-V now, right? So with this all, if you put this all together, would you able to do some like those fancy things that like, Brendan Gregg shows off where they do all these sorts of fancy, like live analytics of the system?
That's the hope. We'll be able to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, like most of the fanciness is generic code.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, you just need some way to get the events through the system. And right now there's just no way to glue the hardware events, if they do exist, which are all vendor specific, to anything normal looking up above that. Because we didn't want to add a bunch of vendor specific PMU code basically all over the place.
Right.
Because it basically, if you look at even Intel, right, like the PMU stuff bleeds in from the microarchitecture all the way up to user space, and it's a mess. So we didn't want to deal with that, right? We wanted to at least get a base of stuff lined up.
Okay.
So one thing what we did with SBI PMU Palmer, like this, just for your information, is that we went ahead and defined the standard events, okay, rather than being platform specific or vendor specific. And the inspiration of those list of events is totally the UI API of the Linux perf actually. So we are trying to support, I mean, the already defined perf events of Linux kernel. So we are trying to cover at least all of them. So, but then
Yeah,
the
I mean, I
platform does
haven't
not
looked at
need
it. The
to.
problem tends to be like that those events are not strongly enough defined that
Yeah,
like
correct.
they result in a lot of microarchitectural details ending up in user space, right? I don't know. I'll try to look at the spec
Yeah.
of the patches or whatever
And
when I have some time.
those are not mandatory, all of them. So the idea is like the events can grow. That's just a good starting point.
Cool.
So it sounds to me, and maybe someone can correct me if I'm wrong, that you would not be able to say, take what's in the D1 and be able to map those vendor defined PMU events and PMU interrupts to the standard then? Or if you were going to map those to the standard, that would just be some code in OpenSBI?
So what will happen is that vendor will have their own encoding of the MHPM event register to define their. Right now, almost everyone would have defined their custom event. So they can use DT to describe the mapping with the standard events. Okay, whether they have some event which matches the standard event, and if they have non-standard events, then they can expose that as custom events through the SBI PMU interface. And but then the perf you will have to use a special command line from the perf to use those custom hardware events, which don't map to any standard events. So.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's all interesting stuff. I suppose that eventually there'll be slides on here and all that good stuff once it happens. But hey, we still have a few weeks left, right, to get things, or maybe 2 weeks left. I'm definitely not done with my talk, so I hope I don't know when the rule is, but it's I don't think it's next week yet, is it? I don't know. I need to go work on my slides. Maybe after this is over. So the other talks is me. I'm gonna be talking, which really this is kind of mainly just trying to bring together all these different things that are happening. Because my thought is that like it can be confusing for people to follow if they're not on all these different mailing lists and attend these meetings and these sort of things. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do in my talk. Then what's the other one? Oh yeah, I thought this was quite interesting. So this is Vitaly, who has done execute in place, which when I first met him, it was a long time ago at an ELC, he was doing this on one of like the STM32 microcontrollers, which I thought was like pretty wild because I didn't think you could run Linux on those, but I guess he's renewed his execute in place interest with RISC-V. So he's been doing a lot of stuff with that. I don't know. Does anyone have anything to say about execute in place or interest in it? Oh, he's already got his slides up. Wow, well done. I guess some people probably recorded them ahead of time, so they're definitely ahead of the game with that. So I'm interested in that. It doesn't say it in here, but I'm guessing this is related to the K210. But I don't know. Has anyone seen execute in place on other RISC-V boards that other than things with the K210?
Yeah, right now it needs virtual memory.
Okay. So what do you know what platform he was using this on? The execute in place stuff?
It's definitely not K21.
Oh, it's not. Okay. So because it doesn't
It
have
has MMU, so he has
Okay.
patches for MMU.
Okay. So all right. So maybe it's like a sci-fi board, maybe something like that.
Yeah, I don't know if he ever actually got it running on one of the Sci-Fi boards.
Okay.
But yeah, certainly that was the target at some point.
Okay. It's I don't think we have anything on the schedule about it, but I'm curious with the K210. I know Damien's still like posting stuff about that, right? I don't know, Anoop, if you're, or Palmer, if you're following that, but do you know where things are at right now with like the K210?
I think all patches are upstream. Only the users with the ELF2 FLT tool needs to be fixed. So that someone needs to follow up. I think so. Damien is still looking at that. So
Right. Yeah. So the kernel like in U-boot are in a good place, looks like, but the I see like sometimes I see the issues pop up or there's an issue for like build root on GitHub, maybe in Damien's clone.
Yeah,
or
he
fork.
had some patches on that. I don't know if they are merged or not.
But my understanding is like the idea here is how we can share like memory to some extent without having virtual memory or make it more usable. So because like
it's all about like no MMU user space, right?
Yeah.
So and no MMU kernel. So without MMU, how much we can do, right? So
because there was another engineer from Western Digital that I watched a talk from, which maybe it was 2 years ago now, but there was another term because it was borrowing it from how ARM was handling this no MMU situation, but basically some way to like, yeah. Go. Mhm.
So there was something to do with tool chains, okay? So
Okay.
yeah, so
Are you
I
talking about-
lost track of that thing. Yeah.
Are you talking about FDPIC?
Yes.
Yeah, FTP,
Yeah. That was the thing I'd seen. But so the goal of this is to be able to make more use of the memory, I guess you could say.
Right, yeah, it
Very
makes-
limited.
It
Mhm.
makes your like your text, your code, your text, your data, RO data all independently relocatable. So you can share like your RO data section between multiple copies of the same program or multiple processes that are running out of the same image.
Okay, because the like the demos, I mean, I have a K210 board and I've run Linux on it, but my understanding was like it was pretty limited because like you couldn't run, let's say like 2 bash shells, for example, because it would like, I mean, I don't know if that's
memory
correct, but
that's we are running out of memory over there.
yeah.
Yeah, it has like 8 megs of memory because I think Damien's patch used all 6 megs and 2 from the GPU or something, or the tensor unit. But you can't even like almost can't even enable the TCP/IP stack because it runs out of memory. So it's pretty limited. I've run my SciPid board. I have one. I've run it, but you run like you said, like 2 shells and 1 LS, and you run out of memory. So it's kind of hard.
So what's that the term that Damien has patches for, like in build root? I was unfamiliar with that one term, like LFT.
So that's a tool. That's a tool. ELF2 FLTs tools.
Okay, so what does that do?
So basically, it's in a flat bin, right? So converts ELF file to flat bin. So basically, we compile the rootfs, and then we convert that into flat bin format. So, and there are some patches to get that thing working with RISC-V.
I'm wondering if it was this issue.
Okay, and another thing that the FDPIC things, I think that those changes and what discussion happened like 2 years back, I think that those incorporated in the PSABI docs.
Okay. Do you know like where's a good place for if people want to? I mean, is it like the mailing list? Like a mailing list?
Yeah. So I think, can you drop an email, because I don't know where Damien kids are. He has some documentation publicly available somewhere. I don't know. It's mostly in some Western Digital wiki or somewhere.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I guess he has a web page too, right? I saw once because he actually built a robot, I believe, right? With the K210.
He built that. Yes.
Okay. Well, yeah. I guess if anyone's curious about the K210, Damien's good person to get in touch with. I guess I'll just drop this in the chat in case people are wondering. But yeah, it's pretty cool to see that still going on, because I think I first heard of this stuff at Plumbers, Linux Plumbers in 2019. Because there was like I wasn't even aware of it, and I was there, and a couple of people showed me it, and they're like, yeah, we're trying to get like Linux running on it, and it's kind of cool, like 2 years later that it's actually like it's working well, like for as well as it can work, right, with 8 megabytes of memory. But pretty impressive to see that continue. And I guess soon in the future we won't necessarily have to worry about 8 megabytes of RAM, but because my understanding was, I don't remember where I'd seen it, but there is the K510 that's coming out at some point. I think probably next year, but that has a DRAM controller. So our soon we'll have I guess DRAM, and we don't have to necessarily worry about that anymore. And I assume also they probably have the the correct MMU spec now, so we can have virtual memory.
It's hard to run Linux, but it's a beefy Arduino board.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, this this K210, right?
monster.
It's dual 400 megahertz with 8 megabytes of SRAM, right? Which is like, that's an amazing microcontroller, right? So yeah, I think it's maybe my fault for wanting to run Linux on everything, right? You know, it's not really what it was
You're
built
right.
for.
Wanting to run Linux on everything, it's way better.
By the way, talking about boards,
yeah.
Do you folks hear something about from someone from Microchip about the PolarFire SoC and stuff like that? They are pretty quiet recently, and they have like a totally different way of booting and doing stuff. I haven't heard anything new about that for a while.
Oh well, I'm working with it. I would say like things are going pretty well. They have engineers on staff that have been working on upstreaming, and then they've been fortunate to get some of the community developers involved. So like Gert Unteroven, who's like a longtime kernel developer, he's been helping out. So I think kind of the main thing that they're working on now is getting the everything sorted out with the PCI Express driver, getting that working upstream. And I believe it's at the point now where some people are successfully running graphics cards in the PCI Express bus, but I think there's still a little. I follow like the GitHubs for that, and they do like pretty regular releases. They have, I think it's a Yocto based image where they try and pull these things together. So yeah, I actually I did not have an Icicle board for a long time because I was busy like I don't know, like a while ago. So I had an Icicle board, I wasn't doing anything with it, and Fpga needed one to get Fedora running on it. And interestingly, actually, Microchip couldn't figure out a way to send him a board in China because we have these really stupid rules in America right now about shipping things. Yeah, it's like ridiculous. I was like, what do you mean I can't send a package to China? It's so dumb. But so I sent it to to one of his friends in Singapore, who then sent it to him. So thankfully he had a board to try and get Fedora working on the Icicle. So hopefully we'll have that working soon. But I recently got an Icicle again, so I can start playing around again. They actually had a problem like many people is, you know, it came out like last August, I think, but then they had trouble with supply chain. So there was like this drought of maybe even 6 months over like they weren't able to send out any new Icicle boards, but that's been resolved now. So there's Icicle boards flowing again.
Nice.
And then I think the part itself is close to being in a mass like where you can just go and order it, you know, sort of thing. So I think there'll be more boards in the future. You know, it's kind of on the expensive side, but it's also quite interesting because there's a lot of things.
You have an FPGA as well. Yeah. I have one as well, and I haven't played too much with the PolarFire SoC itself, but I played with the PolarFire FPGA for a while, even adding it to some tool chains and like FuseSock from Olaf and stuff like that. And I think it's a pretty nice board and have a lot of features. So that's why I asked you, because I haven't heard too much about it recently. Maybe we can catch up someday so I can get up to speed.
I was trying to figure out which one I look at. I think it's maybe the Yocto repo, but there is a lot of activity and issues. I know one thing one issue is they're trying to improve the performance of the PCI Express because it was kind of low. But those are sorts of things that would improve. But yeah, I mean, I think some advantages for this part is like because Microchips sells through catalog distributors that they have full public documentation. So like datasheet, technical reference manual, all that good stuff, right? Which is nice. And the chips are available through distributors. Or, I mean, they will be once this is in. I'm not sure exactly where they're at, but the idea is this is a catalog part. And then they have engineers on staff that have been trying to upstream things. So overall, I think it should be like a pretty good developer experience. You know, I suppose the one downside to it is like it is using like the older generation Pcie, so it's what was in the Unleashed board.
The Unleashed, yeah.
But on the same time, you have the Fabric, right? So And I think, you know, one of the whole points of like RISC-V was to make it easier to like integrate other things, right? So one of the things I know is interesting is Microchip has for their Polar Fire FPGAs, they already have like this whole video pipeline that they've developed. So you could potentially put that video pipeline into the fabric so it can support things like CSI and DSI, because I don't believe there's a CSI or DSI built into the SoC side, but Microchip has this video pipeline that you can put onto the fabric and be able to handle like CSI and DSI. And that's kind of interesting too from like an open source point of view, because then we have like kind of a CSI and DSI pipeline that's like where the RTL is, you know, inspectable. So therefore, hopefully, like the drivers would be pretty good, right? Because there's not any sort of like proprietary bits.
Also, I think the EDA for the Polar Fire SoC have like a free license, so it's not a big deal for people wanting. It's not open source, but you have like a free license to use it, like differently from the Polar Fire FPGA that you need like those paid, like hefty paid licenses.
Yeah, so this is one that's a little bit on the downside, and like it's just unfortunately Microsemi, which is where this came from, the Microchip stuff, is like no one's ever, the open source FPGA toolchain community has not done anything with Microsemi or Polar Fire yet, and the company itself has not done anything. So unlike with Lattice, and like, so Lattice has actually embraced it. In Xilinx, there are working options for open source tool chains for certain Xilinx parts now. Unfortunately, there's not really an option for Polar Fire, at least not yet. But you know, so Libero is the equivalent to Vivado for Xilinx, and it's pretty good. It does run on Linux, but it is, you know, it is proprietary. So that's a bit of a downside, but.
I added support to it to idealize, you know, from the FuseSock backend.
Oh,
I added
nice.
the support to that, so you can use FuseSock now to generate like Olaf's core or Surge. You can generate it for Polar Fire and load it. Actually, the idealize generates the TCL scripts and projects, so you load into Libero and generates everything.
Is there a thing I should point people to? Because you have a lot of interesting stuff for RISC-V.
I have. Take a look. I have on my articles, carlosedp.com. I have wrote about. And I don't think I wrote about it. I don't remember.
Okay, I know I saw it on Twitter, I think.
I wrote all over the place and whatever.
Well, here, I'll drop this link in here. But yeah, it definitely looks like a lot of interesting stuff. So you have Docker running on RISC-V. Nice. Is that right?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Kubernetes, Docker, all containers and stuff like that. I even started talking to Weifu this week about we need to start working on building a Fedora Docker image so we can like integrate in the future. Luckily, we have already Debian. The guys from Docker that manages the repos already added Debian to that, and maybe we can work to build the images for Fedora. That will fill a big gap.
Right, and for people that don't know, like Carlos, your day job is cloud architecture, right? So you're familiar with all these things, and you're trying to bring them to the RISC-V world.
Exactly. I've been working for like a couple of years already, like more than 4 or 5 years with cloud computing. Actually, I'm an architect at Red Hat that building cloud solutions for customers. So this is my day-to-day day job, and I'm trying to port this kind of stuff for a while to RISC-V itself. Like I think I started in 2018, around 18, 19, where I started porting when Go became a little available for RISC-V, not yet mainline, but we had like a working port, and then I started working to bring all these projects to RISC-V. We have like the full Kubernetes container orchestration working on RISC-V already. I presented it on the on KubeCon Europe this year, like
Oh, nice.
in May, I think. Yeah.
Nice. Very, very exciting. So have you, where do you see people running these things? I mean, I guess there's the Pcie boards, right? Because you have the unmatched board, right? The new fancy board.
I have both of them. I had the Unleashed since almost the beginning. Palmer helped me out on getting that. Thank you, Palmer. And recently I got the unmatched as well. The first porting work I did on the Unleashed, and then recently I do all that in the unmatched. That's way better especially on IO, because Unleashed was like a pain to write files, and I had like to mount over network. But on the unmatched, it's no problem at all. I have like an NVMe on it.
Nice,
And
nice.
I
So
do all this.
you just plug in like a normal drive like you have in your PC into it, huh?
Yeah, I've
Nice.
built like a mini PC because it's like mini ITX.
I gotta bring
motherboard.
up your Twitter because you have some
it's
Carlos EPD. Is that right?
No,
No.
EDP.
EDP. Okay.
Yeah.
EDP. Because you have some pretty cool pictures of your RISC-V setup on here.
Oh yeah. All my FPGAs are in the back. All there on the top.
Oh wow, yeah, you've got the oh, so do you have the board that allowed the Unleashed to have a display then?
Sorry?
Isn't this this was the big board that connected to the Unleashed board, right? For the graphics card?
No.
Or no, that's different.
This is that's the PolarFire FPGA developer kit. Like yeah, the PolarFire known as SoC, over there the ISOCO board on top on the right.
Like some of these dies are gigantic. What's this giant die over here?
Yeah,
My goodness.
that's Intel Stratix 5.
My God, wow.
Actually, this board, it's kind of funny because this board you see is like it's an Stratix 5, but it's an FPGA accelerator for Azure that we found on like our local. You find on eBay pretty cheap, like 50-60 bucks, and you can run it. Quartus detects it, and some guys wrote a driver to make it work with OpenOCD, and you can program it normally through Quartus, and it's like a 500,000 logical elements FPGA and a lot of SerDes and PCIe 16x16. It's pretty big.
Wow. Did you put a RISC-V software in it?
Actually, we've run serve on it. You can run like 800 core serve cores or something like that, and also played with Vex RISC-V in it as well. The problem is that you almost don't have like too many GPIO, so it's kind of hard to do like serial stuff over. You don't have practically GPIOs.
Right.
I got the latest FPGA from Quick Logic as well.
Oh yes, I should mention that. So we mentioned we mentioned open source tool chains, and I mean this is kind of related to RISC-V. Is that I mean I'm really excited about open source FPGA tool chains, and Quick Logic is really the first company to like embrace this as like a first class thing. So like their official tool chain for their FPGAs is the open source tool chain.
Is SymbiFlow,
yeah. So that was
the same tool chain from Xilinx that works on Xilinx. Yeah.
Totally. So this is really cool. You know, Xilinx has yet to like really get into that concept. Lattice is kind of into it, but Quick Logic was like the CEO was like, yeah, let's do it. And I think what happened was they went to like one of the open source chip design conferences, and he was convinced. I don't know, some of you might know like Tim Ansel from Google, and he was one of the people that kind of made the case for it, and then I guess they met enough of the nice, friendly open FPGA people that they decided it was a good direction for their company.
Yeah. That chip on the right is a FOMO that Tim Ansel was one of the leads of the project. I got with him actually at the 2019 RISC-V Summit, and he gave me one of that.
Yes, yeah, you're right. I've actually never been to a RISC-V summit yet, but that was a workshop, right, where they used this little board and they put a soft RISC-V core on it right, as part of the workshop. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, they have like him and Zobs had this workshop live where they gave away some FOMOs and you run it all. Actually, also talking about FPGAs and RISC-V, I've built the whole Lattice toolchain that uses and NextPNR and stuff like that for RISC-V. So, for example, I can program my Lattice FPGA on the Sci-5 unmatched.
Nice, nice. So you have a native, your RISC-V machine is your FPGA development machine.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
It's there's a tarball in my RISC-V upstream that RISC-V bring up project on GitHub. There's a tarball on that.
How far do I have to go back to get to your? Oh, here it is. Okay, nice. Is this is your unmatched machine?
Yeah,
Nice.
the one on the left is the unmatched, and the one in the right is an ARM workstation from Solid Run. It runs that
you have
NXP.
that. Yeah, I've seen that one. I mean, I know we probably all of us still use ARM to some degree, right? And that is a very beefy ARM system.
Oh yeah, it's one of the best workstation class you can get.
Yes.
Except that you can pay for, except like
it's got 16 A72 cores, so that's wow. I'm jealous. You have very powerful machines. Was there other pictures of your RISC-V machine, or was that the main one here from July?
No, that's the main one.
Okay,
I also have that NVIDIA Xavier as an ARM machine as well.
So inside of here, which graphics card did you choose? I was wondering because it doesn't come with one. So you don't have one.
I don't have.
Okay.
I run it headless, connecting over SSH directly.
Okay. Do these ports work on the side there, or is that from the case?
Not these. The unmatched don't have USB 3 headers and audio as well. So it doesn't work. Yeah.
Okay. And I know
I think I might have like an open picture of the case probably.
Let me take a look
over the next like page or 2 or 10.
You have a lot of interesting photos in your. When did it actually come out? It was this summer, right? The Unmatched. My memory is poor, but it was probably this summer. Yeah, I know. It took them a while, right? But
yeah, probably I got around like beginning of the year, I think. I don't remember that.
Okay. Well, because you were an early person, weren't you? You got early Unmatched, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Also, my board's like one of the developer like engineering sample units, so it has its quirks. Like.
Yeah. So the memory was originally 8, and then they went up to 16, I think, on the Unmatched. Okay.
Yeah, mine is already the 16. So I got the new version. But
so you had this back in the springtime, then back in March.
Yeah. Oh, this is programming like the Lattice FPGA.
Yeah. My understanding was they got feedback from like the Fedora people who were like that you needed 12 gigabytes in order to do Fedora, because Fedora does, what is it, link time optimization? Is that right? So it needs a lot of memory to compile. So I guess that would kind of convince Sci-5 to bump it up to 16. So that I guess, is that the only RISC-V board then that would be able to compile Fedora natively? Is that right? The Unmatched?
I think so, yeah. Actually, Unleashed, they use it. David from Sci-5 used the Unleashed to build the whole Koji. Oh, those are the pictures. But David used the Unleashed to build a lot of packages as well with 8 gigs of memory. So
so they moved over yet? Because I still have that server in Fremont that.
Oh, really?
In theory, they're still using.
Nice.
I'd like to get rid of it if I possibly can. So maybe I'll just talk to David.
Cool.
Okay, so cool. This is a good look there. So this is your storage.
Oh yeah,
nice. And then I think one of these is the it's like the PCI switch or something is one of the
Yeah,
ones that you
that
think?
one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the one on the right is the PCIe switch, and the one on the left is the SoC itself. And I unscrewed the fan because it's noisy as hell, and I replaced it with a Noctua one.
Okay. And this is where you could put like something like Wi-Fi. Is that right?
Yeah, you can
Okay.
plug. I don't have it, but you can have those like Intel Wi-Fi and Bluetooth models to have it wireless. But I don't use it actually. Also, I boot directly from the NVMe. So the SD card for me only has the firmware, like the U-boot and U-boot SPL, and then it calls everything else from the NVMe.
Okay. Wow, that's quite nice. That you can run off of the NVMe. Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty fast. It's like 500-600 megabytes per second on the NVMe. It's like this NVMe is not one of those insanely fast ones like WD Black. It's kind of on the cheap side because I didn't need too much performance, but it works pretty fine.
I wonder if Anoop has a really fancy SSD since he's Western Digital on his RISC-V systems. Yeah, I wonder like if the Western Digital people have these like really fancy
those WD
hard
Blacks.
disks. Yeah,
They
exactly.
donated a bunch of really fancy SSDs to the rack that we have. So
Oh, cool.
I assume
Awesome.
internal.
I have to run to the door real quick. I will be back in a second. Sorry.
Sure. Oh, we still have 24 people logged in. Cool.
Anybody wants to talk? I haven't assembled yet, but this is my unmatched board.
Yeah, what's that?
That was unmatched. Matched.
Oh,
Oh,
you have
nice.
it yours
Oh,
as well.
cool.
Cool.
This is D1.
Awesome.
This is D1.
Nice.
And this is Starlight. Yeah.
Nice.
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 You have a good
I think
collection.
the D1, yeah, I think the D1 is the only Linux, the only board that runs Linux that I don't have, the D1.
Oh, you don't have a D1? Oh no, we gotta
No.
get you one.
Yeah.
Geez, because we all winter just shipped out a bunch to the people that were in the developer board program. So let me ping Jeff.
Sure.
I think you also got connected with Jeff, right? So because
I think
yeah.
I haven't joined that session.
Okay.
I did that day, but I'll ping you tomorrow for you so you remember pinging him to get the D1.
Because yeah, and actually we have other people on here from distros or other people that might be interested in this. I went to the old one. We should really rename the old calendar to old RISC-V calendar. So we know. So this meeting, this bi-weekly dev boards meeting, in addition to people from like organizations making boards and chips, we also want distro people to join. So people like Carlos. So if you're a distro person, this is also desired for you to join here. I can think the main reason so that the people making boards understand what's useful, so that's kind of hopefully get communication going there. So yeah, we definitely want you to get D1s. D1s actually should be the easy one. So hopefully that won't be too hard for you to get you one.
Cool.
Since that's the one that's actually kind of like the most plentiful right now. So let me go back. By the way, if anyone else wants to share their screen or like throw up some slides or pictures, just let me know. I think I can make that happen if anyone else wants to share. And I know we've been going on for a while. Like I don't mind as long as people want to hang out. So But also like if anyone wants to like present anything or bring anything up, like feel free to. This is not that structured, so like if anyone wants to throw anything out, feel free to. Yeah, the idea here is kind of like to be like if you're hanging out in a conference and just talking, you know, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, I just want to talk with Palmer about the copy function in the
Yeah, the
RISC-V.
memcopy stuff.
Yeah. Matteo have done the benchmark between the loop unroll and without the unroll and with the unroll, and unroll was faster, but I would like to do the benchmark again with these 3 machines again, and then show it on the mailing list. I just didn't have much time these 2 or 3 weeks, and I don't think I have a time for next 2 weeks, but after that, yes.
Okay, yeah, I mean, the merge window is over, so too late.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I know.
you know, if you can convince Linus to merge the code, then that's great with me. But otherwise, I'll just take it into, I don't know, RISC-V somewhere for the next one. So just let me know if you like, when you decide you either have time to do it, post the results, or if you don't have the time to do it, just email me and then I'll just take the code.
Okay.
Because like the C versions are better for us. I would prefer them in lib, but if Linus doesn't want them, I don't really care. I'm certainly not going to go try and argue with him.
Where was that thread? Because I remember reading it, but now I'm not. Was it on the RISC-V mailing list, or is it this one? Or I remember seeing it, but I don't remember where it was.
It's mostly on the RISC-V Linux kernel, RISC-V Linux kernel mailing list. Yes.
Okay.
But before that was
just a little bit.
Before that, the discussion with Matteo and other people was mostly at the Starlight Slack.
Is it? But the patches though, which were the patches on Linux RISC-V then, or because I saw Torvald's response, but now I don't remember where that was. Was that on this list, or was that somewhere else?
We had some on Linux RISC-V, and then it got to a broader kernel list, which is how Andrew picked them up.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. These things happen.
Yeah. So I guess I'm a little confused about it, because I know there was a couple different efforts. There was like copying. I mean, is it all just one thing, or was Matteo doing and what you were doing here, were those different things, or were those the same thing?
So the history is, I think everybody knows is wanted to improve the performance of the gigabit Ethernet.
Yeah. And
Matteo was trying to improve by tweaking the device driver. And I forgot somebody, but who was pointed out that the CPU usage with Perf was mostly was heavy CPU consumption with the 2 function, internal copy function and also the copy function between the kernel space and user space. So and then I started to optimize the copy function between the user space and the kernel space, between the kernel space and user space. And then David, there's 2 David there. Another David mentioned that there was somebody in the past have made an improvement on the copy function inside the kernel. And that was all assembly. And so Matteo took that and made it to C version and posted on the mailing list. And and mine was still assembly. I would like to change it to inline assembly, but I still have to use a little some kind of assembly, because copy function between the user space and kernel space, you require page fault handling manually. It doesn't, nobody will do you. So
but we could easily like share this with memcopy code and just have a single
Yeah.
function to do a word or a byte or whatever copy, either annotated or not annotated. Right?
Yes.
That'd be like way cleaner. And if we take all the memcopy code into RISC-V, then we can deal with that. So we'll sort it out.
And Mateo's mem copy was when he posted, Andrew took it, but after from Android to Linus was rejected, and I think that discussion was in the main kernel mailing list.
Okay.
I wasn't really.
Yeah, like Linus very rarely rejects stuff that Andrew picks up. So yeah, oddball, but it happens. So you know, I'm not super worried about it because it's just one of those things where we're trying to be generally good kernel citizens and do stuff generically where we can. So if Linus doesn't want it, he doesn't want it, and we'll put it somewhere else.
So it would live under Arch or?
Yeah, Arch RISC-V somewhere. I don't know.
Okay.
Like it used to be Arch RISC-V lib, you know, mem, whatever. Yeah, no, I see no reason to change that, but I also don't really care about file names.
Yeah.
Okay.
So probably moving the copy function, the C language copy function to Arch lib is probably the
But that's like trivial stuff. So it's really just a question of like, if Linus is swayed by benchmarks, then it's fine. If not, then we'll take it internally.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, he's right that you need microarchitecture specific stuff, but for the simple microarchitectures we have, it kind of doesn't matter. So, you know, might as well start out with a C version, and we'll have to do some, you know, ifunc smelling thing in order to sort it out later. But, you know, this is good enough for now.
And that's so I was not familiar with the term, but I saw that ifuncs is a topic for the microconference next week. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we need to sort out what to do with the vector ifuncs.
So what is, I'm not familiar with that term. What is an ifunc?
For at runtime deciding which flavor of function you use for things. It's
Okay.
usually like performance stuff like memcopy.
Okay.
Right. You go, you know, you probe for you probe for what flavor of implementation you're on, and then you go to a bunch of complicated low-level swizzling in order to make that stuff all line up right. In the kernel, you'd probably do something simpler. They have other mechanisms for doing runtime patching that we would use. You know, you default to the safe version, and then when you find time to probe it, you would install the version that's faster.
Okay. Okay. In like, so with
kernel's a little different because like sorry, it doesn't really matter. Is this echoey? I could put my headphones on.
No, it's not echoey. I think it's
Okay,
fine.
cool.
Yeah, I don't hear any echo. No, it's clean audio.
I don't hear echo either.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, we always use Meet, and that does like very aggressive echo cancellation, and Zoom does not. So I have a set of headphones that I usually use, but for meetings when I don't usually talk, I use the speakers to give my ears a break.
Yeah. Which is another, I guess is another question. Like, we use Zoom because someone created a Zoom. I think Megan created a Zoom, but I don't. If anyone has any strong preferences, we can use something else.
I don't care. They all work. It's just like long tail audio issues like echo. You have to sort out on every platform, and because I'm only going to use this once a month, you know, it's always going to be bad for me.
Yeah. So for those people that are in Asia, like such as in China, is there one thing that works better than, like, is Zoom good for people in China, or would there be something else that would be better?
Yeah, I think that Zoom is good.
Okay.
At least for me.
Okay.
Yeah, works for me too.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, we can stick with Zoom then, which is good.
Yeah, so if we have time, I would like to share one or two slides.
Yes. Let me see. Let me see if I have the ability to do that. I should be. I'm a host now, so let me find.
Yeah. I think I can share directly.
Yeah, go ahead and try it. Go ahead and try it.
Yeah. So just some updates on the RISC-V lab that I'm trying to build.
Nice.
So currently so So that's the power. Now I have brought 100 and matched and
Wow.
trying to set it up as the biggest step file for the open source communities. So and it's a collaboration with RISC-V International. So all the boards will open the SSH access and other methods to the open source community, which includes the Linux, QEMU, and many other projects who want to bring the RISC-V as their support platform. The ultimate goal or mission for the PLC lab is bring the RISC-V bring the RISC-V to all the projects as a tier 1 support platform. So currently we have 100 MH, and we ordered 1,000 more than 1,000 D1 as a collection for the amateurs and the developers to use. And also we have developed merged all-in-one branch for the QEMU and the GNU toolchain, so that the users or anyone can try to compile all the unratified extensions like the bitmanip, the critical scalar, the DSP, and the vector extension using the latest unratified spec, and compiled use the all-in-one GCC and running it on the QEMU. So that's the current plan. Hopefully we can do it in less than 3 weeks and open it to the public. So it's the country I have built a small lab in Hangzhou. So there's 20 D1 and 9 matched up and running. And so currently the Ubuntu, Fedora, and Gentoo are running on it. So we are trying to bring the 6 Linux distributions and other Unix distributions running on RISC-V platforms.
That's great. Wow.
Yeah.
Are you able to share the URL for this slide deck?
Yeah, sure. So,
and I was curious, I see it on the calendar, but I've never made it to it yet. But there is like a CI and testing like RISC-V meeting, right? On the calendar?
Yes.
Okay. Is that one of the
I see that I saw it on your calendar, but the time is I'm not sure the time is suited or is good enough for you.
Well, I mean, so is that something you're involved in? I guess I was not quite sure are you involved with the RISC-V International, like continuous integration sort of lab?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm from PLC Lab, which is part of the CASC Chinese Academy of Science. It is a development partner for the RISC-V International.
Okay, great. And so you're this is something that people remotely would be able to utilize then to build software on?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So yes, and we have several testing staff. So not even the common software like the OpenJDK or the V8, but also the kernel or SPI. So which needs physically to plug or reboot or reset the power. So we also have some human to help with it. And the MH was connected to another D1 or Raspberry Pi, so which we are connected to the console or some GPIO control. So we hopefully finally we can reset it, just fully control of the unmatched. You can just power off or reset or insert some or refresh the kernel or the U-boot or many other things. So that's may raise security concerns. So the MH was limited to community developers. And for the amateurs and the RISC-V members, they can log into the D1, which is running in a Docker container. The container runs Debian, Fedora, or Ubuntu. Yeah, and thanks Fpga for supporting the Docker image.
Very cool. Yeah, this is great. Will there be, would you be giving a talk or anything like this about the work you're doing at any like upcoming conferences?
Yeah, I'm trying to, but I did not catch the deadline for the summit.
Okay.
We just built, yeah. So as you mentioned before, getting the board is very difficult. So
Yeah.
I ordered half years ago, but until last week, until last week I got the MH board, the 100 MH board, and just buying the power, the SSD, and the graphic cards.
Okay.
So still not it is not assembled yet, and I have to wait till next week to put them online and open the SSH access.
Okay. Okay. Very cool. So I see on the calendar there's RISC-V Labs co-location in CI. Is that something that you're involved in then?
Yes,
like the next,
okay. Yeah. So and after all the things set up, each RISC-V, there are going to be many RISC-V labs. The RISC-V International will publish a guideline, so the member company or organization can set up their own RISC-V labs, and currently I said so the RISC-V nerd wants to have some security guarantee. So currently we accept either the well-known developers in the community or the RISC-V members, either individual or company members. So all the access, you can just pull the requests to the RISC-V labs. So for example, the PLC lab set up a lab, and we will open a repo and just send the pull requests. You can get some, and when you get merged, you will have the access rights automatically using the public keys is stored on the GitHub.
Very good. That's awesome. Very cool. And you mentioned you're going to be running kernel CI as well?
Yeah, not yet, but it's on the plan.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So I think part of your organization, or maybe with the Chinese Academy of Sciences, there's a open source chip that's being worked on. Is that right? I don't know if you know much about that, but
yeah, that's from another institute.
Okay, that's different.
Professor Bao is the team leader.
Okay.
I'm from the software institute. He's from the computing institute, which means the institute for hardware and for software.
Okay.
Yeah, but we have a lot of collaborations.
Okay. Is that both part of the Chinese Academy of Science then?
Yes.
Or both of the, okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, it's just a research academy, so it includes many institutes. Okay,
that's awesome. Because it looked like it was going to be like a fully open source SoC, which sounded very exciting to me.
Yeah, so I think you mean the Xiangshan SoC.
Yes, I think so. Yeah. I saw like it was.
It's totally open source.
Okay.
Written in Chisel.
Awesome. In Chisel. Okay. Cool. Because there's GitHub for it too. I mean, I guess I saw this during the China summit. There was some talks about it, right? About this project, and then I subscribed to some of the GitHub repos to see how it's going. But do you have any sense of when they would actually like tape out a chip for the project?
Yeah, I think that they are already in the process of tape out. As the plan, they will tape out in the first quarter of this year.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So in the future, you might have a bunch in your lab then potentially. Would you have?
I hope.
Okay.
Yes. So currently they're running some FPGA running on the FPGAs, which is very too expensive for me to buy.
Right.
I just have the 707. We can running some small chips on the rocket chip.
Okay. That's nice. Yeah. So this is great. I feel like we're kind of getting into the, like with Linaro and ARM, they have a lot of this infrastructure with these labs, right? With a lot of hardware. So it's pretty cool to see that we're doing a similar thing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think
we want
Packet
to fill
as well.
fill the gap.
Yeah, Packet did the same a while back with their Works on ARM project, where they donated infrastructure time for open source developers. That's a amazing initiative, and thanks a lot for the all the work, Weibo.
Yeah, thank you.
Amazing. Well, gotta go, guys. It's kind of late around here, and a lot to do tomorrow. It's been.
Are you like on what would be the U.S. Eastern time zone, or what is Brazil like for the time zone?
It's midnight midnight 26 minutes, so it's like
yeah, that's late.
Eastern. It's GMT -3, so it's a little bit late than Eastern Coast.
Oh wow!
It's
Okay, I
true.
didn't realize. Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good to know. All right.
Yeah.
Well, cool. It was awesome. Glad you're able to join. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I guess I guess it's been 2 hours, so and it's still pretty early here in on the West Coast, but yeah, is there anything anyone else wanted to like present or discuss?
I'm fine.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, otherwise, I guess it's been 2 hours, so if we could also call it a success. And I guess it's the middle of the day in China as well, so I don't know. You might need to get back to work.
Good time for lunch.
Okay. So awesome. I think this went really well. So I think we'll try and do the one that's aligned with like Europe at the like probably October 1st, and then hopefully for this one do this like on October 15th maybe. But I'll email the list to see like if there's any strong preferences about like the specific date. But yeah,
and we had more people in this one than the previous one. Of course, the previous one was all mentioned it, but I think this one had we had almost 30 people, like 26, 20. Yeah. Awesome.
And I think I think people start to understand kind of like the goal of this is, which is
the dynamics.
Just kind of to get people to like talk to each other. So yeah, I think it went really well. So thank you everyone for joining, and hopefully I'll see you at the next one, or also people at Plumbers next week if you're able to attend.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely, and thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Drew, for being our moderator and
no problem.
Yeah, see you next time.
Bye-bye.
All right, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.